Hello and welcome back to this week's edition of the Blame Game, and you're welcome. You're welcome. I've done it. I've fixed international formats for League of Legends. As you can see, Riot's doing Swiss. I mentioned Swiss. So clearly it's all me. I got a lot of tweets directed at me saying, thank you, Mark, for fixing the tournament. It was definitely me. Don't look too closely and realize that the Swiss is different than when I was prosing. Because I was talking about MSI with 12 teams. This is 16 teams, which is much better for a Swiss. It's at Worlds, and realistically, you really have to squint your eyes to realize that these are at all similar to mine. I won't actually take credit. I'm just happy Riot finally changed things over. This is good news for League of Legends fans, especially North American ones who have been dying for some good news recently. The cinematic launch today, yeah, we're not going to touch that. There's been just a lot of negativity in the League of Legends community as a whole, and this is some much needed positive news. I think the Riot Global team with their tournaments have been very slow to adapt and change to what a lot of fans have been crying out for more interregional play, more opportunities for series, not always just getting stuck with, MSI only with one team from each region. I think that these changes are largely very, very popular. There's a video on YouTube where you can go and see the format explained. I don't want to just make this a recap video. So if you haven't seen these changes and you're not sure what I'm talking about, go look up the LoL Esports YouTube page to see this and understand what they're proposing to change. I'll just talk about my thoughts on them in a second here. But like I said, I just want to give a tip of the cap to the Riot Esports global team for making these changes, because from my perspective, yes, tradition's cool. Yes, history is cool. But you know what's cooler is just change. Change and excitement and freshness and all these things I think are way cooler than just doing the same old time and time again. There are two big changes. MSI becoming more of a real international tournament where you have two teams from each of the major regions showing up, as well as double elimination going on there, whereas Worlds kind of preserves its high stakes situation with single elimination in its later bracket stage, but also mixing up group stage so there's not quite as many dead games, which I think was a big problem. So for MSI, groups are pretty much entirely gone. The play-in stage is a double elim bracket, where teams get to then promote into the tournament. There's three major region 2 seeds fighting for the 3 slots that come out from this situation, which feels pretty fair and balanced to me. It does seem like a situation where these teams are going to be earning them relatively fair. The LPL is the 4th seed that's in there right now. LCK, I guess, with the recent World Championships and tournament results, are going to be the ones getting that bye, and that's perfectly fine. MSI, I'm actually more positive on these changes than the Worlds ones, just the double elim as well as the elimination of group stage and just getting more good games set out there. Maybe there's some problems with this that I'm not thinking of, but at least immediately looking at it, I'm pretty happy with these changes for a smaller scale tournament and just giving there more to be playing for in spring. I think it'll help out the regional leagues as well. I think it'll just be more entertaining for fans. This is just a big win to have more teams at the event and double elimination. It's a testing ground for Worlds. I really do mean it when I say that. I hope Riot takes more of like just a constant churn of new ideas and trying things out and seeing what works. If you have like some golden formula, of course, don't mess with that. But I don't think anyone thought that MSI and Worlds were golden formulas. So like here, if double elim is popping off at MSI, do we really need to keep Worlds as like this high stakes things if it's just objectively worse than MSI's bracket stage? I think that this at least gives us some experiments to run, see how fans are reacting to them. I know there's this big concern, it feels like, from the global team and how they were addressing this here, where like the any given Sunday kind of aspect of Worlds can come through, and people are like, well, the DRX run wouldn't have happened if Worlds was double elim. It's like, you actually don't fucking know that. Like, DRX was really good, actually. They were beating everyone. So like, maybe they still make the run anyways. Like who knows what happens? I don't think you can objectively say that that bracket helped DRX or that DRX helped that bracket. You just don't know. And this, with one having double elim and one not, I think is a great way forward without fully committing to double elims all over the place. And MSI was a tournament that definitely needed some love to make it feel a little bit more prestigious. Worlds, for me, I'm glad to see the changes, but I still have a couple little nitpicks that immediately jump out to me. The reality is, like, I'm not a tournament organizer, and so some of the problems that can come up with these formats I might not know right away. So if MSI, there might be something that I'm missing, but at least on paper looks good. Worlds has a couple that I think I picked up on and I'm a little worried about. For ones, play-in has that kind of weird thing going on to it where a lot of double elim tournaments in League of Legends don't have a true grand finale where you reset the bracket or anything like that, and a team can go home and get second place without losing from the winner's bracket. And that's something that's still true here in these double elim play-ins, but it feels weirder for that not to just be like a really high stakes finale, but actually promoting into the real tournament, from play-ins to be able to win all the way through and then catch someone in the loser's bracket and get hit there and then just drop that series, and suddenly that team got to lose early but you didn't, and then there's more tournament going on afterwards. That feels for some reason weirder to me than just being like, okay, well, it's a really high stakes grand finale and you know, it's the end of the tournament, has to end sometime, and we have to rent out a big venue and we can't be in there for 12 hours doing a bracket reset. Like, there's a lot of reasons logistically a grand finale having no bracket reset makes sense. That doesn't quite click with me here. The one thing I will say that makes it a little bit more palatable and pretty selfish to take a major region perspective on this is because there's going to be only one major region team playing in the play-ins, and that's either the North American or European third seed. There's a really awesome change with the NA and EU battling for the last fourth seed. I think this is sick. I think this is exactly what NA and EU need to have their own like regional rivalries, matches that make sense and still have stakes. That was one of the things that Rift Rivals back in the day was lacking, was like, yeah, we got to play them, but like it came in the middle of the season and players didn't care, and they a lot of times use substitute rosters are kind of like griefed anyways. And here there's really big stakes. We get NA versus EU. There's pride on the line. In, you know, like, I'm so excited to see this kind of fourth place battle. I just imagine how sick Team Liquid versus Mad Lions would have been last year. So I'm really excited about this. And this is the only team, whoever wins this grudge match, as far as I'm aware, is the only team in play from the major region. So even though I don't love the like seeding of how this double elim plays out, at least there's no concern that you're gonna get snaked by like the fourth seed from the LPL. LPL and LCK, all four seeds are immediately in the bracket, and I'm glad we decided to do that. We don't need to test them in play-ins. We know they're better than play-in teams. So there's no way that you can like lose early as a major region and then like bump into like another major region or something weird like that's going to happen. The much bigger concern for me is actually the Swiss seeding. Now, I love Swiss. I think it's a really clever way to avoid matches that don't matter. I love the fact that the best of ones are taking place on the non-elimination, non-promotion matches, so you can slam through those quickly. Maybe some weird things happen, but at least you always get a best of series to prove if you should stay at Worlds or not. The thing that is problematic is that it is randomly seeded 16 teams here. Why? We do not need to pretend that the teams coming in from play-ins have any level of skill compared to the LPL 1, 2, 3, even 4 seeds, realistically. Like, I don't even think the LCS 1 seed should have been in the same pool as like the LPL and LCK 1 seeds as it's been in the past, but like, whatever. But this feels like a regression from like, okay, well, at least there was some seeding. Here, there's just none. It said 16 teams randomized, and that can lead to some really weird scenarios where like you get easy matches between mediocre teams early on, and they're able to win their way through the Swiss bracket if they keep getting good seeds for themselves. And then like in theory, you know, like you could have NAEU playing a promo match and getting promoted immediately, like, or even just a team that starts hot in the tournament, like a Rogue. You know, like they can be very, very good. No shade at Rogue, but like, you can kind of end up with no difficult opponents as far as I'm seeing this. Those teams will still be 2-0 for your final promo match, and it will be a best of 3, so it's by no means easy, but there's worlds where, because there's no actual seeding at the start of the Swiss bracket, that teams can just end up in really weird scenarios. I'm not exactly sure how they're pairing in stage 2 and stage 3 of this. That wasn't explicitly said, and might be game time. The only thing they said for random seeding is that you can't play your own region, which will do some good for avoiding like Eastern team kills right out the gate, but it's still possible in a world where LPL and LCK just like get horrible draws and all play each other right out the gate. And NA and EU are playing themselves in like the wild cards that come into the bracket, and then they all keep drawing each other until one of them promotes out. Like that is possible, and that is scary. I don't like that there's not really a protection against that you don't have to prove your way through one of these Eastern teams that we know are really, really good. But that's my only real complaint about this Swiss, because I do like the rest of it. And overall, I do like the changes for Worlds. I know I'm being a little bit negative here, but these are just things that jump out to me as potential concerns. The play-in one, again, not as serious of a problem because, you know, we've kind of been dealing with the situation before. It's a little bit more cognitive dissonance for me, as well as the fact that there's no major regions that are going to be getting screwed over here. That feels like you're getting this really weird clash early on in the tournament. It's only the NAEU 4th season there. The Swiss bracket, I'm more sad about because I'm tired of the bracket of the World Championship being seeded not great, and that's still possible here, and that's why the single elimination bracket has always been a bit of a concern for me, and one of the things that double elim fixes is if your bracket didn't seed itself properly, well then if a great match happens early on in the tournament, that team's not just instantly dead. That's still possible here with this format because the seeding of the Swiss is random. I think that's something that should get really looked at in the future, but I'm happy to keep iterating. Like I said, I'm glad these changes happen. I would much rather have these changes that are not perfect in my eyes yet, and start down that path than just like wait till everything's ideal. So here we go. I am really excited for this. It's a huge, much needed breath of fresh air in the league scene right now when everything else is doom and gloom around me. This was very much a welcome surprise. So I hope you guys are excited. I'll be back next week, probably with power rankings for the LCS. See who we think's the best team in the league. I'll catch you guys then.
Thanks so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe. It's actually really helpful. I don't know how many people are going to be unsubscribing as they plan on not watching the league this year. Also, please go check out Alienware because they just announced a whole bunch of stuff at CES that's going to be coming out in this first quarter, including new notebooks that look really, really awesome. And then also they have a 500 hertz refresh rate monitor that just got announced. That's crazy. Maybe you are planning on just playing a bunch of Valorant, switching over to Valorant. It's a great monitor. They've just got some cool stuff that's coming out. So please, you can do a search and see all the coverage and cool things that have been announced by them over at CES this first week of January. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time, hopefully